Millennial comes in, do they want to deal with somebody older, or do they want to deal with somebody like us, somebody like who understands where they're at, and like just somebody who can really make the best solutions for their situation and for their life, you know, because there is like an emotional aspect to advisory, you know, as you know, and I think it's really going to influence the way we do business with each other. As we move up in the market, how are the ways in which we do business with each other going to change? It's not going to be a lot of traditional methods. I'm foreseeing a lot of, you know, cloud-based solutions. Like, do you feel like people like in your firm or like elsewhere around the industry are embracing that?
Yeah, I think that's where, as a whole, the industry is moving towards. A lot of the big public accounting firms are kind of dropping the audit clients. They're not focusing on audit and tax anymore. Now it's about professional services, being an advisory company.
Yeah.
I mean, the other aspect to that is it's also, it's not a cost, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I need someone to do my taxes, how much is it going to cost me? I need someone to do this audit, how much is it going to cost me? Advisory, it's how much value can be added by having these people come in and help and give advice.
And then I think that really plays a lot into value pricing. You know, what you see too. I mean, how do you see value pricing moving up, like as we move through the profession? I'm a big fan of it.
I think that, I mean, my firm specifically is moving towards that kind of methodology, because right now it's hours times bill rate gives you, you know, how much money you're making, but it should really be based on performance results and you know, what was I able to accomplish by providing this service. If I'm able to save the company $1 million, that justifies a $200,000 you know, fee, because net of that you're saving the company $800,000.
I mean, is it something you've had experience with?
That's the business model that we're moving towards. You know, right now it's I guess from an older generation standpoint, it's hard for them to adapt and kind of change to become a business model where they want to do that methodology, because it applies in business the same way it applies to you know, for somebody like my father, who he judges how well a job is done based on how long he spent doing it, versus I'm saying, how long did it take you to do the lawn versus did the lawn get done and does it look well? Yeah. And that's kind of the different.
And is it to your standard? I mean, is it really going to help you?
Right.
I've heard it's really tricky to really get the hang of value pricing. Like, it's not really, you know,
it's tough.
It's something you need practice. So like at Grant Thornton, I feel like I remember you saying you're involved with some sort of committee, like some sort of like group.
So we just unleashed the Innovation Council.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is supposed to be, it's all individuals 30 and below at the firm, kind of put together by management, they've identified creative individuals at the firm in all different, aspects.
Of course, they have to look at you.
I made it my mission, to be somebody who's known as, a creative type. And so when they think of, who's creative, like, I better be at the top, top of mind.
Well, I mean, I think that's great that you set that mission for yourself and that you really are bringing that into like how you want your brand to be perceived. I feel like a lot of young professionals, when they set out, they need to have a brand. How do I want people to perceive me? And then of course that factors into how I perceive myself.
Yeah, personal branding is, if every millennial should have their name as a website. Like, you should just, as soon as you're old enough to like purchase one, you have the money to do so, buy your name, because one, you don't want somebody else stealing your name, but that's your brand, and that's like your motherboard. Right. So like, that's one of the first things I did. I bought AndrewJCarrick.com, I bought DrewCarrick.com. That way at least I have those, and I can brand myself in that way. I was on the Green Apple podcast with John Garrett, which was pretty neat, because the whole focus on that is about having, you go to work, but you don't need to just be an accountant, and having that personality and that other aspect of what is your personal brand and how do you want to be known.
Right, and then how does that factor into the work that you do?
Yeah.
And I think it's important for everybody to have that, because like, if you just go to work and come home, like, what did you do that day? You just worked. I mean, there's more to you. There's more to a person than just doing what's assigned to them. There's passions. There's like the raison d'être. There's something that they're meant to do, and if you can integrate that into the work that they do for a company, that's dope. Yeah. I mean, that's just like gold.
One of the areas that we're looking into is maybe like, digital compliance, one aspect which would be interesting kind of incorporates auditing of accounting and, innovation and creativity is, does a company have like a policy for what type of content is posted,
right.
whether by employees or by the firm itself, and how are they complying with that? And then building on top of that, I was saying, well, we could even do run analytics and statistics of how many hits are you getting when you post something?
Oh yeah,
and kind of helping them grow from that. It's almost like a marketing aspect, but that's an area.
Yeah, well, I mean, marketing is something you integrate with business development.
Yeah.
And marketing automation is like something I do at my company. So that's like a huge part of digital marketing and really like measuring the effectiveness of like how you reach out to customers. And I also think like from an advisory standpoint, it's cool that as an accounting firm, you guys are looking at improving culture as a means of really solidifying business processes, because potentially that's something you could take to your client.
Yeah.
As millennials move through the market, and as they move up in the business world, and as culture is like a more important value to them, as accountants, I think the industry has a responsibility to really make these recommendations and to really implement these changes.
Yeah. I think the cool thing about our generation as well is that since we have this, I feel like we're the first generation that's identifying this generation gap and differences, and then not just applying the same methodology where everybody's just kind of grouped together. So we can kind of apply that same thing, because now you have Generation Z, the I generation, coming up as well, and based on our experiences with dealing with the baby boomers, I think we're more adept to kind of cater to them as they come in as well.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of similarities between generations Y and Z. I mean, just the tech-savvy aspect, and there's also a certain resourcefulness. Just to really pull out your device and like find a solution for anything, and that really lends itself well to the business world.
Anyway, so there's a lot of people in accounting, especially like I see it in my profession, who they don't know how to speak to people, they don't know how to be a leader or to manage other people. They're very good at their profession, from a technical speaking of accounting principles and
But
whatnot.
there's more to a profession than just technicalities.
Yeah.
There are other skills that need to come forward.
Everything is who you know and how do you build relationships with people. I think that's very important.
Oh yeah, relationship building is like really important as well. And I think with the work that you do at Grant Thornton, you can really seek to improve the ways advisors build relationships, not just from a personal standpoint, but from a digital standpoint as well. I
kind of want to, my goal I feel like would be really cool to be that guy who upper management comes to we're going after this startup company run by millennials, and we want them to be our client. You should bring in a millennial, expert, as I might call myself, who could still understand the technical and the business aspect, but can come in from an approach that's on the same level and the same mentality and mindset as the millennials who are running that business.
So CMO is no longer Chief Marketing Officer. It's Chief Millennial Officer.
Yes.
Director of Gen Y, DGY.
Yes, I like that. Our generation is focused on becoming more efficient and more effective in an efficient way. And it's like I said, it's not just that time that you spend working, but it's the results that you're able to produce. And I think as a whole, we're working towards making things become much more efficient and coming up with better processes, and not just accepting, well, this is the way it's been done, so we're going to keep on doing it that way. But is there a way to do this better? And a lot of other generations won't accept that because they don't want to take down like the fact, no, this is how we've been doing it.
It's a resilience.
It's a resilience. But for those that do accept it, I think it's a huge advantage, because they have the ability to really bring a business forward or bring themselves forward by coming up with more efficient and better processes.